You're listening to RCFlightCast podcast with Frank Betts. Hey there and welcome to RCFlightCast, a show where we talk shop about all things radio-controlled flight. I'm your host, Frank, and today's episode is geared especially for the first-timers, folks just starting out their journey in the RC airplane hobby. You've got to start somewhere, right? So maybe you've been watching YouTube videos, lurking in hobby store aisles, or scrolling through your RC forums, and you're thinking, I want to get into this. Well, you're in the right place. So today we're going to talk through the core essentials every beginner should know to get flying, and more importantly, stay flying without crashing your wallet, your plane, or your enthusiasm. So part one, what is RC flying really? RC flying isn't just toys with wings. It's a scaled-down version of aviation that blends engineering, electronics, and good old-fashioned fun. And trust me, first time you see your own plane lifting off the ground under your control, it hooks you. Trust me, it does. There are many types of RC aircraft: planes, helicopters, gliders, drones. But today we're focusing on fixed-wing electric planes because they're by far the easiest and cheapest way to get started. And then we get into part two here, the three big pieces you need to start flying. Now let's break it down. And if you're brand new, you need three basic components. Obviously, you need the plane. You want something slow, forgiving, and durable. And for a true beginner, I always recommend a high-wing trainer with good dihedral, like the Hobby Zone Sport Cub S or the E-Flight Apprentice STS as an example. You don't want to get something too small. I see on these forums that first-timers will get these smaller planes, on Amazon or something like that, and they're real small, and they get out of sight real fast, and they're really squirrely. So you really need to get something that, within your budget, of course. But I'd say anything over 30-inch wingspan or bigger, the better. Stay away from the warbirds or jets at first. They look cool, but they fly fast and punish mistakes hard. And I'm telling you, it only takes a second when you're flying around something like those. For the radio system, the transmitter and receiver, a good beginner radio is like the Spectrum DXE, the FlySky i6, which I own, or the Radio Master Boxer, if you're future-minded. But that FlySky i6 is pretty cool. I've mentioned on past podcasts that I got a Futaba 7-channel, and I had it in for to have some changes done to it, so I got a cheap FlySky i6. I paid like $60 for it, and it comes with a receiver, 6 channels, and it works great. I mean, it's I have no problems, and I trust it. It's a good little unit there. So hey, stick with something that's well supported, easy to program, and has at least 6 channels, so you're not limited later. And you can get on YouTube, and with that FlySky i6 there's all kinds of videos out there showing you how to program any part of that you want to know. A lot of good ones out there. Third thing is power, the battery and charger. Very important. Electric planes run off of LiPo batteries, and usually 2S or 3S for trainers. And 2S just means 2 cells. 3S is like 3 cells. It's, just a little bit bigger and handles a little bit more duration for your flight there. And, you got a little bit of a weight difference there, too. So really pay attention to the size battery suggested for your particular trainer that you're going to get. And you also need a decent LiPo charger. Don't skimp on that. Not one of those USB things. Go for a digital balancer charger that you can grow with. That's a good investment. I mean, that's something that will stick with you for a long time. The one I've got, I've had it since the mid-2000s, and it's still going strong. And it does a real good job of balancing all my batteries. And that's nice when you invest a little bit on that, and it's going to last you. Now for part 3, flight assistance and safety tech. You'll see planes that advertise safe, like safe mode or the AS3X or stabilization. For your first flights, this stuff is gold. I even use it on some ARF planes I've got not too long ago that has that built in. And although I don't need it, it sure is nice every once in a while to flick that safe switch on, and that thing will stay safe and level. Like the beginner flight modes, limit your bank and pitch angles, making it nearly impossible to get into trouble, kind of like training wheels. And they help a lot. If you don't have somebody there helping you or anything, that's the next best thing. And also, many starter planes now have panic buttons. You lose control, hit the switch, and the plane levels itself out. And don't rely on it, but it sure can save a flight. That's my dog barking in the background. Must have got something from Amazon. Ooh, nice. Part 4, where can you fly? And this is big, because you want space, but also legal airspace. Good options include like AMA sanctioned RC flying fields, which is nice. AMA stuff, that's an insurance. They're really safety minded, and a lot of fields that you go to where there's locals flying, they actually require you to be a member of that AMA. And then you got your public parks, if allowed by local rules, but, I usually fly those places, and if somebody says something, move along. So school fields, when empty, I use the heck out of those. Like on a Sunday afternoon, it's really quiet, and the fields are, football fields are pretty darn big, and plenty of room to do your flying out there. And, they're just large open areas away from trees, roads, and people, which you don't want to be around if you're training. All you need to do is be nervous about having somebody standing around close by or anything. You just want to be able to concentrate on flying your plane. And stay away from neighborhoods, and definitely stay clear of full-scale airports. The FAA takes that stuff seriously, and so should you. Okay, now to part 5, simulator training. Practice without crashing. Before you even toss your plane, consider getting an RC flight simulator. I talked about this on a previous podcast. It's the Real Flight trainer. It even comes with the transmitter box for you to practice with. But my top pick, yes, is Real Flight. But there are free options like FPV Freerider and Open Transmit Simulator software. So forget that. Just stick with that Real Flight. Simulators let you build muscle memory without destroying your gear, and that muscle memory transfers big time. Even just 10-15 minutes a day on the sim can shave weeks off your learning curve. And it helps a lot. I still refer to mine just to keep things up, especially when the weather's crappy or it's windy out and you just can't go out flying. It's nice to get on that simulator and tinker around and try out new things, and you're good to go. So now we get to part 6, your first flights, the golden rules. Okay, your gear's ready, the battery's charged, and you've got a nice day with calm winds. Time to fly. And here's the checklist. Check all control surfaces. Left is left, right is right, and do a range check with your radio. Don't fly in winds over 8 miles per hour if you're a beginner. If you have a combination small trainer plane and any kind of winds, you're going to have some fun trying to keep that under control, because those winds can get pretty unruly. And, like I say, keep it 3 mistakes high. That means high enough to recover from 3 wrong inputs. It's so true. Fly into the wind when taking off or landing. That way you can come in a lot slower, more under control, and most importantly, relax. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to crash, but you're also going to have a blast. So just realize that. And now part 7, after the flight, what now? After your flight, let the motor cool down. check for any damage, recharge your battery, and write down anything you noticed. Keep a log. Sounds nerdy, I know, but you'll thank yourself later when diagnosing weird flight issues or tracking improvements. And hey, even if you dozed in and ask yourself what went wrong, what can I do differently next time? Every crash teaches you something. So, yeah, just pay attention. And now we get to part 8, the RC community. You're not alone. There are thousands of pilots out there willing to help. A good thing to do is look for local RC flying clubs, Facebook groups, RC forums like RC groups. That's a good one. I do a lot of scratch building, and that RC groups is a good place to hang out and get answers. A lot of old timers on there will fix you right up. And of course, you got your YouTube channels geared towards beginners, and you'll find mentorship, troubleshooting help, and often used gear at great prices. So, final thoughts on this part. Getting into RC flying doesn't have to be expensive, complicated, or intimidating. With the right plane, a bit of prep, and a learning mindset, you'll be enjoying this hobby in no time. So if you've been on the fence, this is your sign. Pick up that beginner trainer, grab a few batteries, find a field, and go fly. You'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. So that kind of leads into, now that you're hooked into flying, you'll need to know a little about repairs eventually. If you fly, you crash. It's not if, and it's when, actually. But don't sweat it. If you're just starting out in the hobby, learning how to repair your RC plane is just part of the game. We're going to cover the most common types of damage, the basic tools and supplies to keep you on hand, and some simple techniques to get you back in the air without needing a full-blown workshop. And let's start with a little truth. Most crashes in this hobby are survivable. That's right. Foam planes, especially beginner models, are designed to take a hit and keep on flying. So let's break this down into a few sections here. Field repairs. What to fix at the flying field. You got home repairs, stuff better handled back at the shop. Tools and supplies, what you should always have around, and a few repair tips and tricks I've picked up over the years myself. So first up, field repairs. This is the duct tape and zip tie portion of the show. You're out flying, something breaks or bends, and you don't want to pack it in early. Here's what you can usually do, to fix it at the field. Loose control surfaces. If a rudder or elevator is wiggling, check the control horn or the push rod. Sometimes a little dab of foam-safe CA glue or tape will get you flying again. Prop damage, always carry spare props. Props break easily, and you'll eventually nose it in, swap and go. Don't take a chance, because they build up vibration or they fly apart, and they could hurt somebody, if they break apart. So you got your cracked foam. For small cracks, use a piece of clear packing tape or blender's tape. And if you have foam-safe glue, squirt some in and tape over it while it sets. And I've done that many a times. It's not very pretty, but keeps you flying. And it's a trainer, so they're going to get a little ugly from being beat up and what have you. So don't worry too much about it. The landing gear bends or pops out. On belly landers or simple gear setups, things can twist. Bend the wire back or screw the gear back in. Quick fix. Now let's talk home repairs. Back in the garage or shop, you've got more time and more tools. Here's what's worth fixing properly. Broken motor mounts. If your motor comes loose or breaks the mount, you're going to need to glue or replace. Replace that mount. Some are plastic, some are just hot glued in, reinforced with epoxy or foam safe CA and some kicker. Snapped foam parts, a wingtip, tail, or even the nose. Foam breaks clean. You can use foam safe CA, UHU, POR, or Gorilla Glue. Clear is a good one. Clear stuff. And line up the brake as cleanly as possible and clamp on the tape and till it cures, and then you're good to go at it again. Damaged surface controls. Yeah, if a surface rips off completely, don't worry. Use Blenderm tape or hinge material to reattach. Make sure your throws are still symmetrical afterwards. Electronics issues, loose ESC, broken servo arm, or damaged wires are common. Use hot glue, double-sided foam tape, or servo tape to, remount things. And always rebind and test everything before flying again. Tools and supplies for basic RC repairs. Here's your starter repair kit, both for the field and your bench at home. For glues, foam safe CA with some kicker. That's just a liquid glue, and then you have a little spray can that you spray over that CA, and it makes it set up fast. And then epoxy. I've used quite a bit of that. 5 minutes is fine. It's you mix up two different parts of epoxy, and they react to each other, and then within 5 minutes there they set up so that you can go back to flying, if you bust up a wing or something. And then my favorite is the hot glue gun. That's really good for quick fixes. Tapes, Blenderm hinge tape, clear packing tape. I use a lot of that. And then, of course, you got your colored vinyl tape. That's great for visibility and marking repairs. You can put different colored tape on the bottom of the wing or the top of it. And that way, if you're way up there flying, you can kind of get an idea which direction it's going, or if it's upside down or right side up. And I've had that happen more than once. Get a little disoriented. And of course, last but not least, some good old duct tape if you're desperate. That's so true. So some of the tools you need, like a hobby knife or razor blades, some needle nose pliers, screwdrivers, and we're talking tiny Phillips and flathead stuff. I'm talking little bitty fine stuff. You're going to need some zip ties and rubber bands. Rubber bands like for holding wings on. You need a little sandpaper or a sanding stick, small clamps or clothespins. And of course, last, but not least, spare parts, props. Always bring extras. Control horns, servo arms, and linkages. Push rods or piano wire. A spare servo or two. And a few tips for successful repairs. Keep it straight. Always check that your repair didn't throw off alignment. Wings level, tail centered, motor straight. If your plane flies sideways or pulls hard, something's bent or glued crooked. So always check that out for sure before you go up flying again. Hey, and test everything out. After any repair, power it up and do a full control check. Wiggle all surfaces, check throws, and listen for servo buzz. You might have busted up a servo and it's still hanging in there but ready to go. So if you hear any kind of buzzing or grinding or anything, replace the servo. They're pretty cheap. Another thing is don't overbuild. Beginners sometimes go crazy with epoxy or tape. I've been known to do that. Just keep things light. A heavy repair can ruin your flight performance. So, throw off the aerodynamics, make your plane want to stall differently or slower speeds or what have you. So, and, hey, know when to retire it. Sometimes a plane just isn't worth fixing. If the airframe is warped, heavy, or cracked in too many spots, use the parts for a new build or keep it for static testing. I've got a bunch of stuff hanging around here that I use for spare parts. And learn from the crash. Always take a moment to figure out why the damage happened. Pilot error, weak glue joint, underpowered motor. Each mistake is a lesson, and each repair makes you better. So that's some good advice that I still try to heed myself. But all right, wrapping it up. RC repairs are nothing to be afraid of. They're part of the fun. With a few basic tools and a little confidence, you'll be amazed at what you can bring back from the dead. And you don't need a giant shop or years of experience. Just some glue, some tape, and a little patience, and checking out YouTube videos. So don't hang it up after that first crash. Fix it flat and enjoy learning along the way. You'll be glad you did. You put your time and effort into it. You're going to get better. So just keep it going. And so that's it for today's episode of RC Flightcast. If you got questions, tips, or your own repair war stories, drop me an email at frontcentermusician@gmail.com. So until next time, keep it light, fly it right, and don't be afraid of a little glue. We'll see ya.